Jerusalem Post reports explosions heard in Iran, Syria, Iraq. According to a report, explosions were heard in Isfahan in central Iran, in the Suwaida Governorate of South Syria, and in the Baghdad area, and Babel Governorate of Iraq early Friday morning, according to initial reports.
Show me the money.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, a couple of subjects. One, Israel has struck back at Iran right near the border of Iraq. What does that mean? We'll get into that here in just a moment. In addition to that, guess what's in the news again today? Yes, a change in the exchange rate. They actually showed people what that possible exchange rate might be. Finally, isn't that what you're saying? Let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. First things first, American immunity on Iraq's money. How did you start and what did you mean? I didn't start it and I didn't mean it. Anyways, right here is just an article about Executive Order 13303. It just gives you a quick breakdown of what it stands for. So it started by George Bush in 2003, as you can see up there in the front. It was put in place to protect the Development Fund for Iraq, in which it deposited its proceeds of oil sales with the aim of protecting it from legal prosecution. More than 2 decades later, successive U.S. administrations are renewing this presidential executive order and other orders related to Iraq and aimed at protecting its fund. Now, was it earlier this month, didn't we hear that part of that executive order protection was going to be removed? It doesn't appear that way, because as you go down more, it says current U.S. President Joe Biden signed a decree extending the state of national emergency related to the situation in Iraq for another year and stating there are still obstacles to the orderly reconstruction of Iraq, the restoration and maintenance of peace and security in the country, and the development of political and administrative economic institutions in Iraq. So it doesn't sound like he's removed those protections, so they don't have to worry about a lawsuit, which is fine and dandy. Iraq doesn't have to deal with the boatload of lawsuits coming across their table while they're trying to get their act together. So these obstacles pose an extraordinary threat to the national security of foreign policy of Iraq and the United States of America as well. So I do think it's interesting that this is coming out today, saying that, oh, indeed, we're going to go ahead and renew it another year. So the executive order is intended to protect the Development Fund for Iraq and some other property in which Iraq isn't interested. According to the text of the executive order, George Bush saw that there was a threat of seizure of other judicial proceedings against the Development Fund for Iraq and Iraq oil and oil products, and these revenues that rise from them. The executive order also said that the situation poses an unusual threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States, and therefore a national state of emergency has been declared to deal with this threat. And you can see what it stands for. The executive order prohibits all United States citizens and residents within the United States, as well as any entity regulated under U.S. laws, from filing lawsuits against Iraqi funds. That's what the executive order is. According to the U.S. National Emergency Act, not renewing the executive order within 90 days from the date of its previous renewal means that it will become null and void. It says the Development Fund of Iraq, of course, was established after 2003, and before that, the funds for Iraq oil sales were placed in an account managed by the United Nations under what is known as the Oil for Food Program. The mid-90s passed a UN Security Council resolution on oil for food and provided for the sale of part of Iraqi oil in exchange for the purchase of medicines and food during the era of Saddam Hussein's regime, which suffered international sanctions as a result of its invasion of Kuwait. The situation continued until 2003, when the new Security Council resolution was repealed, provided that issues related to the invasion of Kuwait, such as compensation, prisoners, and others, were resolved. Well, wait a minute. Where in there does it say anything about investing into the Iraqi dinar? Isn't that what you're told? 13303 is about investing into the Iraqi dinar? Like I said, it's just about protecting the assets. So it looks like Joe Biden has changed his mind and has re-signed it again. Now, the bigger question is, did they take control back of the funds, or did they actually continue to turn it over to the Iraqi government? Exactly what we didn't want to happen is happening. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Israel was going to fight back. They launched 300 drone attacks against Israel. You had to have known they were going to go ahead and retaliate. But the fact that it's so close to the Iraqi border is concerning. You don't want Iraq to get involved. And bombing Iran would be an excuse for Iraq to get involved. Let's hope that al-Sudani could keep calmer heads. All right, here we go. They're talking about changing the exchange rate. This is what's been in the news a whole lot, is talk about changing the exchange rate. What was one of the reasons why we needed to change the exchange rate? Well, because 1,320 dinars for every dollar is too cheap. How are they going to afford to pay for their projects? Isn't that what you heard? Parliament's finance advisors raising the exchange rate again. Money about oil revenues. A member of the Parliament Finance Committee stressed on Friday the need to raise the dollar exchange rate in the Iraqi markets, while pointing out that America is pressing Iraq to reform the victory. Al-Zarfi said in the interview followed by the news that the exchange rate of the dollar against the Iraqi dinar must be more than 1,500 dinars in order to create real economic development, noting that the current exchange rate allows to weaken the local industry. Wait, what? If 1,320 dinars for every dollar is too cheap to pay for huge projects in Iraq, well, how the hell are they going to afford things if they change it to 1,500 dinars for every dollar? They're going in the wrong direction. We need that number to shrink, not grow. I think it was towards the end of the year when everybody kept flapping off at the lips about changing the exchange rate. I said, be careful with that kind of talk, because what was the reason? I told you that the people within Iraq are talking about increasing the amount of dinars you get, not decreasing. Now, this isn't set in stone, so everybody calm down. This is what they are recommending. It's not set in stone. But again, here we go, talk again about changing the exchange rate in the wrong direction. If you think the Iraqi people were pissed back then when it was 1,320 dinars for every dollar, all hell's going to break loose if you change it to 1,500 dinars for every dollar. Iraqi oil export revenues go to the United States Federal Bank in two accounts, pointing out that the U.S. Federal Bank was aware of the existence of different numbers from Iraq's imports of customs and the central bank, which led to a change in the trading financing mechanism. The non-payment of custom taxes and duties is one of the most important indicators for the Americans about the economy, a member of the Finance Committee added. The government of Kademi admitted the establishment of the dollar platform despite Americans' demand to do so. Noted that America is pressing Iraq to reform the banking system, and within 5 years, we will eliminate monetary dealing. So this is not the news we wanted to hear. This is definitely going in the wrong direction. They brought this up before, right before the end of the year, when everybody kept saying the same old crap. Oh, it's the end of the year, they're going to change the exchange rate. And then when it didn't happen in December, then it was, oh, it's the new year, they're going to change the exchange rate. Then it didn't happen in January. Oh, we're going to change the exchange rate on March 17th. Then it didn't happen on March 17th. Oh, it's going to happen on April 17th. And April 17th came and went. Did they change the exchange rate? No. And back at the end of last year, they were talking about increasing the exchange rate, which is the wrong direction. Did they mention that? No. Did I mention it? Yes. What are they talking about doing today? Exchange rate, increasing the dollar against the Iraqi dinar. That's the wrong direction. 1,500 dinars for every dollar. Again, I just want to make myself clear. They're talking about doing this. They have not done this yet. This is just chitter chatter. And I'm sure the other content creators are going to be reassuring you that it's not going to happen. Their inside person told them that they know that's going to go in the other direction and that we're going to get a new rate here any moment. So don't worry about it. They'll tell you things that'll tickle your ear, make you feel good, okay? But again, so you are at least aware that they are talking about changing the exchange rate to 1,500 dinars for every dollar. That is the wrong direction. We don't want that to happen. Anyways, that's the talk for now. So don't get all huffy and puffy. And I know the news is frustrating, but that's what they're talking about. Changing the exchange rate in the wrong direction. It's the same thing they spoke about in December. So don't be surprised. Let's hope it goes in the other direction. Anyways, I'm sure in your comments, you guys are going to give me 50 million excuses why that's not going to happen. This is going to be interesting. Anyways, I look forward to your comments. I'll get back at you later. I'm out.